Well, welcome to Scarborough, Ontario at the Pan Am Centre here on Morningside, just south of the 401. OSBA women's semifinal action between your number 1 seed, King's Christian, and the 5 seed, Niagara Prep, who got here by upsetting the 4 seed Southwest. So I'm Chris McKee. Thanks for joining me. Happy to be back in my hometown, born and raised in Scarborough. I live out in Pickering, just a few minutes east of here, so thankfully this is the closest venue I've had to call games anywhere across the GTA. Women's lineups announcement right now, Niagara Prep. Number 8, Fatu Diakite. Number 15, Corinne Parker with Niagara. And 23, Jordan Wheeler. That's your starting lineup for Niagara Prep. And now head over to the King's Christian's bench. There's number 5, Maya Chicano. Anastasia Veljevic, number 15. There's number 10, Summer Lee. There's Jasmine Bosco, number 13. And 21, Mildred Dubois, excuse me. So excited to be back calling OSBA's women's action. It's been a couple years since probably, 2019. For those unfamiliar, I do all the Orangeville Prep home games for the past 6 years. So I've been up doing those games. Got the chance to do some women's games earlier this year in grind session, though. Crestwood Prep, Fort Erie with some of the women's games. So excited to be back in the gym doing some ladies hoops. So really stoked to see King's Christian, obviously loaded with all Canadian type talent, BioSteel players. Niagara, just, this is my first look at them. I watched some of the live streams of the games this weekend, but great size, definitely going to be a problem for King's Christian. But if you're Niagara, just come out, throw the kitchen sink at them, leave it all out on the floor. And obviously King's Christian is going to be the Vegas line favorite coming in. So if you are out there watching on YouTube Streamland, we've got Yoram to my right here at the table. He's checking all the comments, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Mr. McKee, MRMCKEE. If I'm getting a name wrong or the sound's off, too loud, too low, just hit me up. So I went and spoke to the coaches before, got the pronunciations. I know some of the girls, but spoke to the coaches for the pronunciations. Because even like Diakite, I've called some other games, players with a similar name as Diakite. So I'm going to go with Diakite at the coach's request here. So first time calling basketball in this gym for me. I've called pro volleyball in the Pan Am Center a number of times. So stoked for this. Of course, the Pan Am Center started construction in 2012, finished for the 2015 Pan Am Games. And I'll talk about this probably all throughout the broadcast and the games today because there's usually different people tuning in, but it was such a pain in the butt for anyone that lived kind of out in this neck of the woods like myself, because what they did was they blocked off one entire lane on the 401 either direction, both eastbound and westbound, just for the Pan Am traffic. So obviously a lot of the athletes and officials all staying in downtown Toronto, so they literally shut down a lane on the 401 eastbound and westbound so they could get almost like an express lane just for them. No one else was able to use it, and so traffic was an absolute nightmare. So when this was first around, I was almost resented the building in a way, but I've grown to love it, having come in here to just watch sports and also call it. Of course, we're mentioned at the top, we're just on Morningside, just south of the 401. Directly across the street is Mornell Court, an infamous neighborhood in Scarborough, home of The Weeknd, the Grammy-winning pop singer and a superstar. The Weeknd grew up literally just across the street here from the Pan Am Center. Don't worry, we got about 2 hours together. I'm full of plenty more kind of useless information. So out there for Niagara, number 2, Natalie Picton. Number 3, Tanisha Clark. 15, Corinne Parker. 23, Jordan Wheeler. And 8, Fatua Diakite. For Kings, Jasmine Bosco out there, 13. 15, Anastasia Veljovic. 10, Summer Lee. 21, Mildred Dubois. And number 5, Maya Chicano. Let's go. Game time. Bosco hustles back, picks that up. Crowd's still filing in. Thankfully, we pushed back the games because of the brutal snowstorm. Dubois. Kings setting up their play. Dubois turn around. Attacks her defender. A little kiss off the glass. Good start for Kings Christian. Mildred Dubois. That was too easy for her. You got to see a little bit more resist. Oh, what a pick. My goodness. So Diakite just absolutely hammered Veljovic on a pick. She went down hard. She's up no worse for wear. But hey, this is playoff hoops. That's the kind of stuff. Talk about setting the tempo. Niagara inbounds. Picton got no one, finally tosses it out. Clark. She's got to get rid of it. And Parker almost turned it over. Shot clock at 5-4. Put it up. Ooh, long 3. How about that? Tanisha Clark. Good response for Niagara. Right out the get-go. And then Kings. So Dubois just took her eye off the ball, and that rolls out. Early game jitters. Parker inbounds to Picton. Picton, nice kick out. Clark for 3. Too strong this time. And Veljovic comes away with the rebound. Chicano wanted her quick 3. Bounces off the back of the rim, out of bounds. It'll be Niagara ball. So good tempo to the game to start off. That pick just woke me up. You're like, all right, we're in one here. This is good. Parker, coast to coast. And denied. Veljovic, big block. Diakite, nowhere to go. A wide open lay-in. Oh, great vision from Picton. And then Parker with as wide open a lay-in you'll get all day. Niagara out 5-2. Dubois. Bosco, Chicano. And a little unfortunate foul. That was a little incidental contact perhaps, but the refs want to get into it early as well, make themselves known, why not? So first substitution, Sydney Pinckney just comes in, number 5. Parker will have a breather for Niagara. Lee, Chicano wide. Jordan Wheeler shoots some free throws. So Wheeler from Thorold, Ontario. Obviously a lot of these ladies from that Niagara region. So for anyone listening down there, my other job, I'm a traffic reporter for 8 Ontario radio stations, including 610 CKTB Niagara, the Move 1057, which is also Niagara. What else do we do? 1029 Bounce, which you'll get, that's a Hamilton station, and then TSN 1050 here in Toronto, a couple others. So if the voice sounds familiar, there you go. Dubois, long 3, no good. That didn't touch rim. That should be a turnover. So Kings catches a break. Chicano, kick out. Veljevic, swish. Anastasia Veljevic, big 3. Or are they calling it a 2? Not a 3. So the sunlight peering in the back. Picton threw that over the glass. Too ambitious on that attempt. Chicano gets a break for Kings Christian. And coming in is Tanae Smith, number 12. So I'm excited because they actually, for the first time ever, I have scoring stats up on the big billboard here to my left, so I'm able to tell. Because normally you're so caught up in calling the game, it's hard to say, oh, you know, Bosco's got 15 points right now because it's tough to keep track, but got some help today. So fresh off the bench, Smith misses on her first attempt. And are they calling a foul or possession arrow? They didn't call a foul. Wheeler inbounds. Niagara back at it. And a turnover. Tanisha Clark. I thought maybe Veljevic got a hand on it. Ref got a better look at it than me. Turnover Niagara. Bosco. Great setup play. Bosco misses. I've called Jasmine's games a couple times doing the BioSteel Futures. Usually get the chance to do that. I'll be doing that again in a couple weeks. Called that, what now, 5-6 years done the Futures game. So get to know some of these ladies. Off the glass, cannot roll. Dubois scoops it up for Kings. And here comes the number 1 seed. Bosco pulls up, doesn't drop. Knocked out of bounds, should be. Yeah, blue ball it is. .532 to go, we're tied at 7. Bosco with 3, leads all scores. Corner 3, doesn't drop. Summer Lee yet to get going. One of the things you wonder about is, you know, in a weekend like this where they're playing back-to-back-to-back, pull-up jumper, Niagara's cooled off after a good start. Bosco wide open. They're giving Jasmine way too much space. They got to play 13 a little tighter because that's going to bite them eventually. So out of bounds. Mass substitutions for Niagara now. Gabrielle DiPietro seeing her first action, as well as Rain Malik, 13. And Corinne Parker re-enters the game after a quick breather. Wheeler Cheyenne Neal also out there for Kings number 2, getting her first minutes. Wide open look. Bingo. Tanisha Clark. That's 2 threes for her here in the first quarter. So I'm loving the way this game's setting up early. Turnover Niagara. Here comes Blue. DiPietro. Oh, it's got to be a foul. How is that not 4? So Wheeler for 3 because she was hammered by Dubois after she took the shot. She should be shooting for 4. 13-7 Niagara. And we are getting a foul call, so that's going to be against Dubois. And now she's going to have to take a breather. Carletta Bennett comes in, number 14, in her place. Clark, hot start for Tanisha. Parker, a little floater, doesn't drop. And then Carletta Bennett, just off the bench, gets her first rebound. Bosco, bingo. Jasmine Bosco with the response for King's Christian. So for those unfamiliar, King's Christian, based out in Oakville. Beautiful school. I've been out there a couple times. And there's Clark, and she's fouled. Goes to the ground hard, but appears just fine. She'll shoot some free throws. But yeah, King's Christian's campus, school, absolutely beautiful. Been a few years since I've been out there, but I did 1 or 2 girls' games out there, but I used to do quite a few of the men's games with my guy Lucas Sakota, now down at Harvard. Coleman Stuka, who's now down at Northeastern. Bunch of great players have come through there. Tanisha from Burlington, class of 2023, doesn't roll. Summer Lee's got it. So Bosco feeling it for Kings. Neal, kick out to Bosco, right in her sweet spot. Jasmine Bosco, bam. Red hot in the opening quarter. Tied at 13. 2:45 to go. DiPietro. And careless pass, that defensive pressure from Kings paying off. And here's Neal, and she's fouled. Shan will shoot some free throws. Substitutions. Jordan Wheeler back in, so is Natalie Picton. Well, Neal at the free throw line from Oakville. This is Jewel All-Star for 2022. I have one of my good friend's daughters plays in the Jewel League, so he gives me all the info on what's happening in Jewel World. Anyone with Jewel League, hey, I'd love to be a part of calling some of those games. Jordan Wheeler off the glass. Wheeler also all defensive team in Jewel League. Neal, long three, no good. Goes out of bounds, Niagara ball. Mention if you are out there watching on YouTube Streamland, drop us a message. Let us know how we're sounding, too loud, too low. Or hit me up on Twitter at Mr. McKee, MRMCKEE. I try not to look at my phone during games, but during the odd timeout, I'll check in just to make sure I'm not missing any messages. Picton, and that should still be blue ball, no? Thought one of the Kings ladies got a hand on it, didn't. Kings ball. Well, two of the better uniforms you'll see anywhere, really. Niagara uniform, sharp, Kings Christian. It's a good look because there's not too many other it's familiar with, right? Shot clock winding down. Neal's got to get this up. 2-1. Recognizes, does, and it drops. Cheyenne Neal as the shot clock expires. Tied at 15. Buck 10 to go, first quarter. I'm Chris McKee. Thanks for joining us here. The Pan Am muscled away. Well, that's Sydney Pinckney. Pinckney with her first bucket. Neal was feeling hot, but that one doesn't drop. Ripped away by Parker. Picton. Pinckney attacks. I don't think she needed that bounce pass. She had a good lane. I thought she had a good lane to put that shot up, but sometimes too unselfish. So great crowd filing in. I was checking. I did get asked to do the Thursdays and Friday, but they came to me a little late, and so I have to work doing my traffic reporting job. But I was watching on some of the YouTube streams in between my work, checking out great crowds, and definitely good start to the day. Game 1 of 4. I'll be on for all of them, I hope. My voice holds out. Here comes Kings Christian. Bosco, and Bosco misses. Veljevic scoops it up. Veljevic drives, no good. Picton down the other end. And just a torrid pace to the game. Wheeler. And Diakite and 1. So Fatou to the line. That was just back and forth, back and forth. And now Niagara up 19-15, could make it a 5-point lead. Doesn't drop. So will they recognize, can't get it off in time. And so after 1, the 5 seed Niagara Prep up by 4, 19-15 over the 1 seed Kings Christian. Thanks for joining us here on the OSBA YouTube stream. Don't forget, click subscribe, that red button. Stay up to date on all things OSBA. Get notifications of whenever they're doing live broadcasts, and of course some of the features they push through all throughout the year. So I'm thankful. I got word we got a Tim Hortons right in this building. I said, if I'm doing 4 games by game 3, that Tim Hortons is going to be more than necessary. So, wow, talk about shoveling. For those of us here watching in Southern Ontario, we got hit with one of the worst snowstorms I've ever seen in my life. I was out shoveling both my front yard and backyard till close to 2 o'clock in the morning. And then again, some this morning. So I was drenched sweat. It was like, that was a workout. Thank God, obviously, because I'm here today, I'm not going to get a chance to get my workout in, but hey, I was up till 2 a.m. sweating like heck. So, that's one of the things, obviously we were all kind of getting out of this pandemic and getting back to the real world. And one of the best things, to happen was when the gyms closed all throughout, the early stage of 2020, I started running outside. For those unfamiliar, I have a son who's a university athlete, plays university soccer up at Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie. He's also on the curling team, so 2-sport athlete. But, he had just come off injury, and I'd seen him sitting around the house for months, and we just got back to training about 3 or 4 weeks, and then all the lockdowns started, and I said, let's go, we're going running. And it was, -8 out, and the two of us just really started loving it. And now I've been running every day almost for the past 3 years. barring the odd day or two for work. But that was one of the biggest blessings in disguises. And the same thing with my son, too. It's helped his fitness instead of just running on the treadmill. Back to it. Quarter 2. The underdog Niagara up by 4. And they don't look phased at all. They look ready. They're ready for a brawl here. Someone was bumped. Trying to think, was that Tanae Smith maybe? No, that was on Cheyenne Neal too. I thought I saw a 1-2, the ref signal, hand signal, excuse me. Clark, great start in the first quarter, gets her own rebound and it rolls in. Tanisha Clark, well, she's having an afternoon so far. Two threes and now that. And a travel. So Tanae Smith. Well, surprisingly, it's the ladies in blue that look a lot more comfortable. Kings playing tight, couple unforced errors and turnovers. You know, it is pressure. Look, everyone's expecting Kings to take this. Playing with expectation, often a little bit more challenging than playing without a care in the world. Shot clock winding down, and a wrestling match. And it looks like Diakite maybe touched out of bounds, and so that'll be a turnover. So we got a timeout on the floor. Well, I'm digging this one already. Good start. We got the house DJ in here. They're not bumping it too loud, which is disappointing. Because there's all sorts of, there's swimming going on. There's other stuff in the buildings adjacent. Yeah. Some Candy cameo in the background. So for those unfamiliar, I worked in the music business for over 20 years before I got into media. I produced concerts for Grammy-winning rappers, singers, rock bands, whatever, Juno winners, including Cameo. At the Atlantis, if anyone's familiar with Ontario Place, here in Toronto, there used to be a nightclub in Ontario Place called Atlantis that had a rotating floor. Talk about this. I mean, think about now putting this in. The floor would rotate in a circle, but you could stand either on the floating circle or the rotating or outside of it. Picture, after a few drinks, you're being circled around and around and around. It didn't end up well for a lot of people. So the circulating floor, although in theory was a good idea, I don't think it was in practice the best thing for a bunch of people drinking and eating food. But either way, booked Cameo there. Bosco, Chicano, Veljevic wide open. Great kick out, Chicano. Ooh, got every bit of the rim, just wouldn't drop for Veljevic in there hustling. And it's still going to be King's ball. Anastasia, he's a buzzsaw. What? What are you talking about? Uh-oh. Well, hey, I will not argue with the refs today. Unfortunate, because, yeah, that hit off Diakite and went out. But another ref, no? No? What do they call? I think it's just a warning to the bench. So Niagara catches a break. Picton. Clark switches to the left hand, and someone got a touch on that. Veljevic again. Well, Anastasia plays D. And like every bit of the court. Clark wide open. I think she just didn't get a handle on it because she had a bit of space. And a travel. No? That was on Diakite in the key. It looked like. No? I think they were calling 3 in the key, yeah. Chicano. Veljovic kick out Bosco. And great ball movement. And then again, careless play with Kings. Cyan Matthew took her eye off it. I will say Kings' offense is really nice to watch. It is beautiful basketball. Their movement is next level. It's outstanding. It flows. Parker back out there. What's going on? So it looks like Cyan Matthew, a little push in the back. I don't think it's a shooting foul. It's not. I don't have access to the amount of fouls and the penalty. Oh, there we go. I can see it up on that far scoreboard now. Corner three, short. Bouncing around. Bosco comes away with it. Lee, no good. Niagara down the other way. Tanisha Clark pulls up. Tanisha also with Kia Nurse, U17 in EYBL. Oh, another three. Tanisha Clark. Well, she's feeling it. And now the largest lead of the game for Niagara, 24-15, up by 9. Lee. Shot clock winding down. The Kings bench letting them know Neal from way downtown doesn't go. Ripped away. Diakite. Parker going coast to coast. Gets her own rebound. DiPietro. Doesn't drop. And it's going to be Kings ball. So perhaps that's the makeup call right there on the previous Kings issue a couple seconds ago. It would only be fair, I would say. Equitable. .606 left in the half. We got a good one. What a start to semifinal day in the OSBA championship weekend. Dubois trying to back down to the defender, and a travel. So whatever could go wrong for Kings so far kind of has. And they're on the ropes in the opening half here against the 5-seed Niagara. Plenty of basketball left, but Clark, kiss off the glass. Tanisha Clark. Well, Tanisha, the most dominant player on the court here in the opening half. Bosco looking for her shot. Weaves kick out. Summer Lee. No good. Neal rebounds. Kings will reset. No good. Well, Dubois misses. And that's got to be a foul, is it? What are we calling? Well, I think it's just going to be out of bounds. Diakite just fell out of bounds. So we got a timeout on the court. Kings needs a reset. 26-15, 5:06 to go. I'm Chris McKee. Thanks for joining me here on OSBA YouTube Streamland. Great to be back. Haven't done any OSBA women's games since whatever, that 2019-20 season. That was a good year. We're talking, I did a bunch of the Crestwood ladies then, and that's with, Aaliyah Edwards and Cheyenne Day Wilson and Tasha Lattimore and Rebecca Demike, just loaded with all Canadians. And then Capitol Courts was their rival with Marissa Russell. So many other talented ladies. Of course, Capitol Courts coming up next, the defending champs, going to take on Crestwood. So that's, talk about a rivalry building. between those two programs. That's why I'm happy to be back calling the ladies' games, because it's so much fun. Trust me, I've watched more NCAA women's basketball over the past 2 years than I have in my life, because I'm like, hey, I want to watch Aaliyah. I want to watch UConn. I want to watch, Marissa down at Louisville. So it's when you have a connection to the ladies, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable to watch. Sure. Bosco off the glass. Jasmine Bosco. Well, that's one lady we're going to be seeing on our TV screens over the next 2 years or so. Jasmine, Biosteel All-Canadian. Brother Josh playing down at Bucknell. And, yeah, just lost a handle on it. Rain Malik playing hot potato with it. Kings ball. Lee weaves through. It's got to be a charge. No? Blocking foul. So Kings now catching a break. We have Summer Lee to the line. So Jordan Wheeler back into the game for Rain Malik. And Summer Lee to the free throw line. What are we waiting on here? Oh, the ref's over wiping off the ball. There we go. I'll leave that joke alone. So Summer Lee already committed to DePaul. She's going to be featured in the Biosteel All-Canadian game coming up. What was it, end of March? The weekend starts, March 30th to April 1 or 2, so it's a great weekend. So you'll be seeing Summer on TSN a Sunday afternoon coming up. It's always a great weekend. Did the play-by-play for the dunk competition last year. We had Toby Fournier, one of the co-winners, off the glass. Natalie Picton. So Niagara showing no signs of slowing down. Neal, coast to coast down the other end, doesn't go. Parker down the other end. And she's stripped. Should be blue ball. It is, yeah. Tanae Smith knocked it out of her hands. We'll say, yeah, back to the dunk competition. Toby Fournier, the co-winner, with Mombara Mara. Toby Duncan, of course, those dunks gone viral. Thousands of views and showing them on SportsCenter. So I'm hoping Toby is going to be in this year's dunk competition again. Bring a lot more eyes to it for sure. Fade away. Doesn't drop. Here comes Bosco. Clever little spin to Summer Lee. And one! Summer Lee starting to see signs of King's Christian waking up. So Niagara doing a really good job of keeping fresh legs out there, consistent with the substitutions, getting ladies in and out. Lee doesn't convert. Veljovic, though, rips it. And that drops to Anastasia. And what do we got here? Niagara wants a timeout. So with King's Christian getting a little momentum, it's a good timeout for Dave Picton. Try to settle things down. Well, the good news is, for those trying to get into the building, you want to get out here, keep in mind 3 more games left, plenty of hoops left here in Scarborough. Although I will admit parking is a bit of a challenge, to say the least, in this neck of the woods. And there's not even a lot of like neighborhood parking you can park elsewhere. So that's about the only challenge in getting here. So thankfully, most of the storm looks to have settled. Everyone out shoveling in their neighborhood, seeing pictures on my Instagram all morning, everyone posting their snow. Although when I was doing the traffic reporting yesterday, because like I said, I cover all of Ontario, well, most of it anyways, and it looked to be more like that Hamilton, Brantford, Hamilton, Mississauga area got it perhaps a little bit worse than we did out in this neck of the woods. But I think definitely a smart move, like Carmelo. The OSBA pushing these games back. Also, I don't have to get up so early, so appreciate that. Back to it, Wheeler. Great feet inside. Diakite, they're not calling it. They're calling it offensive. So definitely momentum shifting in favor of the ladies in white with King's Christian. However, if you're Niagara, 5-point lead, all is well. 3:13 to go in the first half. Bosco in the corner for Lee. Veljovic, second chance. Second time's the charm, Anastasia Veljovic. So Anastasia from Mississauga. Previously with Excel Hoops. Clark, she's been money in the first half. You called a travel on that? Ugh. Unfortunate, shall we say. But again, so it looks like a sideline warning to the Niagara coach. Bosco. We'll see Bosco's father, Shane, played pro over in Europe, in Slovakia, and Slovenia. There's Jasmine for three, right on cue. Jasmine Bosco, money. And we're tied at 28. Well, just like that, that 9-point lead for Niagara evaporated. Feet inside, Diakite, the response. Much needed for Niagara. Regardless of what happens here in the last minute 45, you know, if you're Niagara, you got to be really pleased with this first half, because you've given yourself more than a fighting chance to get into the second half. Kings misses on 2 attempts. Here comes Wheeler. Jordan Wheeler. And just like that, Niagara back out by 4. 1:19 to go. Bosco. Veljovic, short. Clark, coast to coast, wide open land. And it doesn't drop, but she's fouled. So Bosco looks like got a little tug on her. But Tanisha's got some wheels. You can just see when she got that ball, explosive. So I mentioned Tanisha 2023. I don't have any info on her, any post-secondary recruitment or commitment. I was, researched all the ladies. But I got a feeling she's going to be playing somewhere good next year. Bosco, 1 minute to go in the half. Kings Bosco, quick trigger, no good. Picton. And yeah, you know, I just think Picton had several other options aside from kind of what she just did there. Alas, still with a lead. Looking good going into half. Veljovic, Neal, trying to shake. And it looks like Wheeler going to be called with a little hand check foul. It is, yeah. So we got Jordan as a class of 2026, my goodness. So what a bright future for her. Sometimes you forget. Because when you see, you know, I was down the court earlier, you forget these ladies, I'm 6 foot tall, most of these ladies taller than me. You sometimes forget, hey, you know, they're kids, right? It's like the 6'1", 6'2", it can kind of skew your vision. I always say that even with the boys too, you know, talking to some kid. I talked to a kid from one of the Montreal programs, Dynasty. He's 7'1", and he's 14 years old, and it's hard to hard to fathom. Picton, Wheeler has that stripped. So Kings has got just over 10 seconds here. Bosco gonna hold for the last shot. Neal puts it up, bounces off the rim. Diakite rips it away, and then she gives it to Bosco. Ooh, doesn't drop. So, hey, talk about a surprise. Going into the half, Niagara with a 34-30 lead. I'm Chris McKee. This is the only time I'm going to take a break is at the half. So give me 10 minutes. We'll be back for the start of the second half. Well, welcome back to the Pan Am Center in Scarborough, Ontario. You put some respect on it. You don't call this Toronto. This is Scarborough. So I'm Chris McKee. Thanks for joining us here on the OSBA YouTube stream. So, hey, what a first half. Niagara out with a 4-point lead. They've got Kings at moments of the first half in disarray. And then, of course, moments of brilliance. You know, Bosco feeling it. Veljovic just everywhere all over the court. But for Niagara, Tanisha Clark has been outstanding. Diakite also big time for the ladies in blue. So, hey, anyone's game here. Kings Christian, the 1 seed. Niagara, the 5 seed. The one team playing with house money. So here we go. Now, keep in mind, last year, Capital Courts won, I believe it was the 6th seed, Yorm said. I'll trust his info. So back to it. Let's go. Summerlee inbounds to Bosco. Dubois yet to get going. They got to get her involved more in this second half. Chicano, good first half. Kings bobbing and weaving. Kick out. Dubois. Veljovic got to put it up. Misses. That's going to, no, shot clock expired. Didn't touch rim. So not how you want to start the second half if you're Kings. Natalie Picton. Natalie from Welland. The dual prep champ as well. Knows how to win. Clark misses on her first attempt. The second half, Picton weaves in. And again, maybe an extra pass that wasn't needed. Picton had the space to pull up and take that shot. Didn't want it. Dubois. That's been a great matchup all day. Diakite and Dubois in there. Clark. And Parker, I think she might have stepped out of bounds. Looks like the call. So Bosco with 14, Clark with 12, leading their teams. Ooh, Bosco pull up from just outside the free throw line. And that's as sweet a stroke as you'll see. Jasmine Bosco. Talked about her dad playing pro over in Europe. Her mom also played University of Guelph. So I'm sure they each argue where she gets her talent from more. See, with my ex-wife, I have no argument. He got it all from me, my son, so. No questions asked. So I'm not sure what the conversation is over at the scores table. They might just be asking for dinner ideas in the area, and to be honest, they're few and far between. There's a decent pub across the street. It's changed names. I used to go to it years ago. It's changed names sort of over the past 2 years. A lot of businesses, closed over the past 2 years and then reopened, someone else scoop it in, but decent place. Good pool tables. Used to go to karaoke nights there years ago. I don't sing. Just go watch it. Shot clock winding down. Bosco weaves through and then off the glass. Absolutely money. Jasmine Bosco. Tied at 34. We haven't seen since the early going Kings get ahead and make maybe a little bit of a run. Niagara's had a counterpunch for a lot of what they've done. It's going to be a position. No. Wheeler, floater. No good, but Niagara resets Clark quick. I don't know if she needed it that quick. Diakite And she's fouled. She'll shoot some free throws. Diakite from the Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire. As they would say there. Misses the first. Diakite, 2023, they've got a listed at 6'2". Hits the second. And now she'll take a bit of a breather with Rain Malik coming back in. Rain been a part of Team Canada U16. Most of the ladies out on the floor been a part of either Team Canada, Team Ontario. The best of the best in the country out there. Lee. And denied. That's Clark playing defense now. Big block. Well, one thing I'm hoping is, I mean, this has been a great game. I'm hoping the first game isn't the game of the day, and then it's anticlimactic after this, but what a way to start the afternoon into the evening here. OSBA semifinal action. Yeah, Wheeler misses on her 3 attempt, but hustles back in. Parker will put it up. Bam! Corinne Parker. So Wheeler missed on her attempt. Corinne bails her out. Talking about this, Corinne, part of Team Ontario from Welland. Two-time OBA Division I champ as well. Learning how to win, that is key. I talked to a lot of different college coaches. You know, I've interviewed probably close to 100 NCAA Division I coaches, and that's one thing a lot of them talk about when they're building programs and taking over programs. I went and got, guys or girls that know how to win. There's Clark for 3, and she knows how to win, man. She knows how to do a lot of things. Tanisha Clark, 41-34. So just as King starts to creep back in, another counterpunch for Niagara, and they open a nice little lead as well. Back to 7. Veljevic, Lee. But yeah, finding players that know how to win is a good way to build a program. There's Dubois, finally undresses the defender. Mildred Dubois. Mildred from Caledon, beautiful part of Ontario. Big in the equine industry, a lot of horses up there. Substitutions. And I don't think you guys can see it on off camera. There's a young baby just almost ran out in the court, and Dad had to go scoop him up. That's funny. Parker. Feet inside. And it was a tough pass because there was 2 Kings ladies right there. An ill-advised pass. And what's the possession arrow? Looks like it's favoring Niagara. Yeah, so blue ball still. So they catch a break. Kick ball. Tanae Lee. Speaking of kickball, shout out to the Canadian women's soccer team finally getting paid. They've apparently reached an agreement to get them their money equal what the men are. So shout out to those ladies for battling, setting a standard all across women's sports. Especially, that women's soccer team, up until the past 2 years, the Canadian men's soccer team's been nothing. They've been terrible. Now we get Alphonso Davies. They qualify for the World Cup. But for the previous 10, 15 years, it's been all about the women. So pay the ladies. Neal And Dubois comes crashing in and denied. Diakite, look, she got ball. Unfortunate. So Mildred to the line. She's a former BioSteel Futures player. Did her game, what was it, last year? Last year, the year before. It's weird, you know, the past 3 years has really warped, certainly my sense of time. Everything kind of blended into one, and whereas the previous 40 years are a little bit more sectional. 41-37, 4:33 to go, third quarter. Niagara up for it today. Tanisha Clark been outstanding. Diakite equally as good. Pinckney drives, doesn't go. Diakite comes and scoops that up. Excuse me. Clark bouncing around. And that should be blue ball because it looked like Veljovic caught it and then fell out of bounds. And that is the case. I do get these right occasionally. Mention if you are out there watching YouTube Streamland, any comments or concerns, drop them in the YouTube comments section. Yoram is checking that out. Also hit me on Twitter. A long three. Doesn't go. And it didn't hit rim. Yeah, hit me on Twitter at Mr. McKee, MRMCKEE. Bosco. Yasmin, left hand, no roll, and Dubois, and it drops, Mildred Dubois. So whatever conversation, you know, the Kings coaching staff, Coach Stevanovic had, you know, Mildred's responded because needed a little waking up at the halftime. Tough first half, but she's been dominant here in the second half. And that's been a difference for Kings. 41-39, still a 2-point game. DiPietro to Clark and denied Veljovic. We call it, is it a foul on Anastasia? It is, yeah. So Anastasia, we call it a foul. And now I think Anastasia that's your third, I believe. I just heard the in-house announcer say. So she'll have a bit of a breather. And Tanisha trying to add to her point total. Clark now was at 16, it looks like. Good hustle play. It's Pinckney rips that rebound. Niagara gets a second crack at it. DiPietro. Clark with the shot clock winding down. She got to get it up, and she can't. But there goes Kings. Bosco. Jasmine with an easy lay-in. So Jasmine Bosco everywhere. I believe that's 20 for her now. Waiting for the update, the scoreboard. But the response, Tanisha Clark. So we got a heavyweight battle going on here. Bosco and Clark, the two of them going back and forth. Lee. I think if you're Kings, someone else has got to help. It can't just all be coming from 13. Some of these other ladies got to start hitting shots. DiPietro. And she's fouled. Gabriella is going to get herself to the line. Gabriella previously at Notre Dame High School. Two-time SOSSA champ. A couple other ladies on that from the same Niagara team on the same team. Gabriella gets the roll. Well, as we head down the stretch here, you know, free throws in a game like this is going to be key. Gabriella goes 2 for 2, does her part. Lead back to 5 for Niagara. Bosco to Veljovic. Smith. Jasmine, just crazy handle. Doesn't go. Veljovic comes in and rips that, and Kings will reset. Bennett missed on her 3, with Kings getting second and third opportunities here. Veljovic weaves through, a little floater off the glass, doesn't drop. Rebound Wheeler. So Kings had 3 different possessions, still couldn't score. They're all out of sorts. Picton, and she's fouled. And Tanae Smith, beside herself, not happy with that call. And Natalie Picton shoots free throws. Two for 2. 7-point lead. No let up with Niagara. $1:10 to go in the third. If you're Kings, just, you know, don't get out of it. No panic button yet. You got some of the best players in the country on your team. Just let them do their thing. Again, the gym filling up. Oh, denied. Diakite. Veljovic rips it. And then finally, Summer Lee. Short jump shot, drains it. Lead back to 5. Substitutions. Sydney Pickney back in. Picton. She's got Veljovic all over. Good look. And Parker. Corinne Parker. Bingo. And then there was a foul, I think, after. No, I think that's going against Kings. So the basket is going to count. But I think. Yeah, I don't think that was anything to do with the shot. Yeah, it was not, because it would be the shooter taking it. So it was under the basket, away from the shot. Diakite. And we could get, if she hits this, we can go double digits for the first time today. Bingo. Niagara leads by 10, 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. Upset alert. Veljovic slips, and Diakite just dives in there and rips it. Playoff hoops, it's the kind of effort you want to see. You know, I think, you know, I was talking about that with Yoram before the broadcast. I think some of these teams, both on the men's and the women's side, they play so many games sometimes that, you know, the importance of winning certain games gets lost. But that's out the window here. Do or die playoffs. Lee off the glass, no good. Diakite again. She's got to be in the double digits of rebound. A reckless pass from Picton, unneeded. And let's see if Bosco can capitalize before the end of the third quarter. Kick out to Lee. And off the glass, she didn't call it, but it still counts. So a much needed three for Kings as we head to the fourth quarter, get that lead down to single digits, goal one. But Niagara still in front, 53-46. Chris McKee, OSBA semifinal action. Don't forget, coming up next, Crestwood versus Capitol Courts. That should be a good one as well. And then coming up later, the two men's semifinals. We got United Scholastic, Fort Erie. Who else is my talking? Royal Crown, the 1 seed. I did notes on all these teams last night, and I'm lost. So I'm sending a message to Josh Milliken from North Pole, trying to get some of the guys to jump on and do the broadcast. After, I'm fine doing the first two games by myself, but as we get to game 3 or 4, the voice starts to crack. So I'm trying to rope in some of the guys who were the scouts, the North Pole scouts. I reached out to Drew on point, hoping to see if my guy Wes Brown shows up in the building to jump in with me. But so some 112 with BIG in the background, old school. We're talking late 90s here. Still hits though. Well, we got a finish coming ahead. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully you got the popcorn ready during that quick intermission. We're back to it. Bosco with 20. Clark, it looks like 18. Looking, it's on the far end of the scoreboard for me. And Clark's going to add to that right now. Tanisha Clark, money all day. Bosco, Veljevic wide open look, looks good. Doesn't drop, but Veljevic in there fighting for it. Parker comes away with it. And Kings stepping up that defensive intensity right now. You can see everything getting a lot tighter. Clark, corner three, way off. There goes Kings. Bosco's got Veljevic. Great vision. Anastasia doesn't drop for her. If you're Niagara, you want to slow things down. Get it out half-court offense. Don't get into a running match right now with Kings. Get them off the rhythm. Slow them down. Work the shot clock as much as you can. Got to put it up. Clark sleeping. Get it up. And air ball, and that's going to be a turnover. Now, that's the danger, right? You do want to work shot clock, but you also want to still try to search for good shots and not just get into that situation where you're heaving shots up with 2 seconds left to go, because that's more often than not going to be the result. I talk about this a lot when I do the broadcast. One of my favorite college teams to watch, it's more basketball geek stuff, where the University of North Texas, the Mean Green, they had a good tournament run about 2 years ago. And what they do is you will not see games of theirs more than about 50 points. That's kind of where their games are. And Neal missed on that three. Here comes Diakite. But what they do is and I'm talking from minute 1 to the last minute, they work the shot clock down to the last 3 or 4 every single possession. And they try to, Diakite goes down hard, but she's all right. I could hear that smack on the floor from up here. But what North Texas does, they just bleed the clock, so they don't allow their opponents to get in any rhythm whatsoever. They almost lull you to sleep. And I've seen it cause havoc with so many teams because, normally they're out there playing, especially in college ball, 70, 75, 80 points a game. And now they're in a game where it's, 45, 50. Virginia can do that to you as well. And it just sucks the life out of you. Chat with some of the coaches from Capitol Courts in between. I used to do quite a few of their games a couple years ago, so nice to be back in the gym with them. Great program. 8:08. 10-point lead again for Niagara. Kings needs a run. And they don't need a turnover. Ripped away by Parker. And a careless pass. But thankfully, Wheeler bails out Niagara. Wide open look, Parker. Doesn't drop. Bodies flying everywhere. Kneels on the ground. Possession arrow will favor Kings Christian. Rain Malik back in for Diakite. Tanae Smith inbound. Chicano from deep, but doesn't even touch rim. Kings Christian just all out of sorts. And Chicano goes back to the bench frustrated. Summer Lee back in for him. Stolen, much needed turnover. Bosco, she's got Neil with her. Pump fake. Oh, that was delicious. Jasmine Bosco. Come see me later. So my guy Drew on point in the building, trying to get him to jump up later on. So that was ridiculous from Bosco. And this should go possession, and now it should be Niagara because it was just Kings last one, wasn't it? So it is blue ball. Mentioned Drew from on point. I don't know where he gets the energy because this guy is in a gym, 6 nights a week, pushing all these kids, making sure they're getting the notoriety they deserve. I always say I wish we had people like that around when I was playing, my high school football and basketball and rep hockey and all that. It's like just didn't have it. And so that's why one of the reasons I enjoy doing it, pushing these kids out there, helping get opportunities for them. Inside, oh, what a feed. And Parker, and she's hammered. So Corinne will shoot some free throws. What? Okay, good, yeah. I've seen the Niagara girls running back. I was like, yeah, no, that's a foul. Corinne got hammered. Here we go. So now we've reached that point where free throws of the utmost importance. Money on that one. You can see in the background Crestwood and Capitol Courts warming up. And Corinne Parker goes 2 for 2 from the line. Lead back to double digits. Ooh, Anastasia missed on that attempt. If you're Niagara, slow it down again. It's not going to be over and back. And DiPietro caught sleeping. And then Bosco comes in, picks her pocket and one. Jasmine Bosco. So I don't know what DiPietro was doing because she knew it wasn't over and back. She was just way too casual going back to get it. Bosco caught her slipping. Well, Jasmine, of course, being a part of the national team program. And denied Veljevic. So Kings showing some urgency. Bosco, Neal, wide open look. In and out. Got every bit of the rim and just didn't drop. Wheeler, pull up, short. Summer Lee to Bosco. You know, in these, now we're in this kind of situation, I'd like to see Bosco be a little bit greedier and maybe just, you know, see the Kings ladies spread out, let her go one-on-one. And, you know, Corinne Parker has got a good argument. She just stood there with her arms up and gets called with a foul. It looked like Bosco ran into her. So Corinne looking for some explanation and kind of get it. So timeout on the floor. Niagara wants a break. I think more so they need a bit of a breather. Tempo in this game picking up. 8-point lead. You know, I think it's so funny, the DJ here, because normally, you know, we're hearing the Drake, you know, Travis Scott, Future, all this, Nardo, Wick, all the new stuff's bumping. We're going pure 80s. We've got some Wham bumping in the background. R.I.P. George Michael. Hey, I love me some Wham. You can't be in a bad mood listening to the Wake Me Up When You Go Go. I know I'm aging myself, but the 80s, you know, see nowadays, and look, I love all the new music. You know, I worked in the business for years. I stay very up to date, and I love all the new stuff. But, you know, computer technology has made it so much easier. You don't have to be as gifted and talented. Back in the 80s, you had to be able to sing and dance and perform, do everything. Not necessarily the case as much anymore. Although the only thing back then, it was a lot easier to get a record deal because the record companies actually had money back then, so they were signing everyone. So now it's almost, if you do get through, you've almost worked a little harder. Bosco hits that free throw. So crunch time here, 5:20 to go. Kings Christian trailing by 7. Bosco hits them both. Yeah, I mean, she's feeling it today. To say, for my money, you know, we get down and then they can't chip away at this lead. They got to allow her to go one-on-one. And just trying to win this, or dig out of this hole maybe herself. Picton wide open 3. Oh, great pump fake and laying too much. Diakite bails her out with the follow. 60-52. Neal, no good. Wheeler, stripped. Here comes Kings. Smith, reset. Too strong, Bosco. And a good hustle play, but all for naught. And then knocked it out of bounds. Still going to be blue ball. Well, this certainly has the feel of March Madness. We're on upset alert right now with the 5 seed Niagara Prep leading number 1 seed Kings Christian. And they are just swallowing up Clark. They're doubling her, finally. Shot clock winding down. It's not going to. Did she get it off? They're going to allow it. Diakite. And they're calling a travel. Unfortunate. Yeah, Niagara, they got to keep working that clock. Bosco. And Bosco spun around midair. Doesn't drop for Tanisha Clark. And Tanisha, the second she has the ball, she's got 2 or 3 white jerseys all over her. Picton working the clock. Diakite. And what a move by Bosco. She recognized, Fatua, she doesn't really want to dribble. And so they just smothered her. Great defense. So what you do is the first player comes in. I got shout out to Joe Rasso, former coach with the national team program, McMaster coach for years, did some play-by-play with him in the CEBL for CBC. And he talked about how first player, almost smother the ball, and then the second one comes in and traps their legs. Textbook D. So that's going to go against Kings. Instead of a possession arrow, it's going to be a foul. So Niagara catching all the breaks. Tanisha Clark inbounds. With a full shot clock. Clark. Niagara. And Diakite missed, and now Clark's going to be called with a foul on Bosco. Rum, you can see how many's Clark got? I can't see on that. 20. Tanisha with 20. Bosco, is that 25, Bosco? 26 for Jasmine. Just where I'm angled, it's a little blurry on the screen. I can't see it right. Bosco, too much. And then Diakite again. I wish I had sat in her rebounds. It's got to be well in the double digits by now. Picton. And now, unfortunate, Tanae Smith, they had Picton pinned, but just too close. And another foul. So we got a timeout on the floor. 2:45 to go. Don't go anywhere, folks. 8-point game. We got a good one. So I'm Chris McKee. Thanks for joining me here on the OSBA YouTube stream. Don't forget to click subscribe, that red button. Stay up to date on all things OSBA. And, of course, follow them on Instagram, Twitter. Was it Ontario SBA? I've been following along for years. It's always a great way to stay up to date on where all these young women and men are going to college in the future. And I'm getting a laugh checking out the Capitol Courts ladies over in the back. They're all dancing and vibing out to this tune. hey, that's what you want to see, right? Think about the pressure these ladies are about to go through in the next little bit. And it's funny, I'm looking over at all the Crestwood ladies, a little bit more solitude. And Capitol Courts, these guys are over there vibing. Of course, don't forget, coming up next, Crestwood and Capitol Courts, semifinal number 2. Play their winner this game tomorrow at noon. I'll be back on the call, weather permitting. And what's the call? Do they call a travel on that? Or no, she stepped on the line. Oh, so huge turnover. And okay, this is garbage. Of course the coach is going to be upset on that call. And it wasn't even that. And you tee him up. You're getting involved in too big of a game. Coaches are allowed to question calls. Unless he's being, belligerent and cursing. Then you can tee up. But that wasn't that. It was more like a, you're kidding me. Either way, free throws didn't drop. So Niagara catches yet another break. Luck definitely been on the side of the ladies in blue today. Had the shot, didn't want it. Bosco. Jasmine weaving. She's got 3 ladies in blue all over her. They know what's going on either way. And again, Corinne Parker. Oh no, they gave it to Picton. I think Parker thought it might have been her again. Bosco hits. So Bosco at 2024. She was born in 2006. Gets the roll on the second. Big free throws. Lead at 6. 2:22 to go. Spot in the OSBA championship on the line. Tanisha Clark. Niagara content with running clock again. Clark weaves through Tanisha, and she's fouled. Anastasia Veljovic got too much. Clark at the free throw line. Big free throw. A hush over the building in the Pan Am Center. 62-54. Under 2 minutes to go. Do or die for Kings. Veljovic doesn't drop. She gets her own rebound. And then Diakite blocks. And now Picton comes away with it. Picton has it ripped out. Still going to be blue ball. 15 on the shot clock. So urgency definitely kicking in now for Kings Christian. Diakite. Oh, what a feed. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Harlem Globetrotter-esque. And the finish, Jordan Wheeler. That's just beautiful basketball from Niagara. At such a key time. That last pass from Picton, sweet. Because she caught it in the air and tossed it to a wide open Wheeler. Bosco off balance. Veljovic comes away with it. Much needed for Kings. 1:01 to go. Do they start fouling now? Well, you want the ball in Tanisha's hands if there's going to be a foul. Wide open Wheeler. And one! Rims around about 7 times and drops. Jordan Wheeler and one. Wow. 10-point lead. Could be 11 with 49.2 to go. You need threes now, so I think it's immediately get shots for Bosco and foul if you're Kings. Drops, big time. Jordan Wheeler. Kings taking way too much time here. This is taking too long to set up. And Picton will foul Bosco. That's actually not the end of the world. I mean, you don't want the clock stopped, but you'd much rather Jasmine shooting for 1 or 2 as opposed to 3. Bosco hits it. And again, the silence in the building. Crazy. Bosco, 2 of 2. So you got to foul here immediately if you're Kings. They're not. Niagara just passing it around. Why not? I don't know why Kings ain't fouling though. Picton and double dribble called. I think there was about 1 or 2 seconds left on the shot clock, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you don't even really, if you're Niagara, you don't need to take a shot. So, in a bit of a shocker, Niagara Prep is going to advance to face the winner of Crestwood and Capitol Courts in the OSBA Women's Final. And a consolation 3 for Summer Lee. But with just 6 seconds left, and there's the foul. For the life of me, I don't know why they didn't foul earlier, but alas, it is what it is. So we'll see Niagara back here at noon tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep. Pretty sure there's no more snow coming in, so. I wonder if they're staying in hotels or anything locally, B&Bs, instead of driving back to Niagara. It's a bit of a challenge. And Natalie Picton. So just an outstanding game. Right from the get-go, Niagara came out and weren't phased. They were up for it. And just maintained that intensity all throughout the entire game. And they're going to play for a gold medal tomorrow. And a long 3. Niagara, 68. Kings Christian, 61. The 5 seed knocks off the 1 seed. What a game. What a way to start off the day. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. I'm Chris McKee. Really appreciate you checking this out. Don't forget, drop me a line on Twitter at Mr. McKee. Check out my podcast on hoops, undraftedfreeagent.com. It's over iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. We're going to take a few minutes break here. Back for the second semifinal, Crestwood versus Capitol Courts.